Shiatsu by Mark Bishop, producer Mark Bishop, director Eddie Maliki, video recordist Eddie Maliki. This is the second part of the basic Shiatsu techniques. This video is intended to be a backup to the first or initial stages of basic Shiatsu training. It covers some of the basic techniques in more detail. It is a manual for learning, not for treating. If you wish to treat people using Shiatsu techniques, you should and must be trained by a bona fide teacher. Following on from the first tape in this series, the first video, I am Mark Bishop here doing the treatment, and Moya is assisting me today for your benefit. We've been through the initial processes as in the first tape, and now I'm just doing a workout on the back to help loosen up the spine. A bit more vigorous than in the previous video. More specific techniques you'll see here. Usually brought in during the second term of training in Shiatsu. Some diagonal stretching there, just to loosen up the spine, across the shoulders, back. Looking at the flexibility. Now I'm going to use my thumb either side of the spine against the spinal processes, which I'm demonstrating there. So I'm moving the spinal processes independently of each other, moving the vertebrae, I should say, by levering against the spinal processes. I'm using my lower hand, that's my right hand, to move the back, and my left is the child hand in this respect, the thumb of which is levering against those spinal processes, helping the vertebrae move independently of each other, loosening up generally. Feeling for the different areas of tension as before. You can see me doing some detailed work there. And finally, now there's my cross stretch again, and this is a variation of that. This is a longitudinal cross stretch. My right hand is working against that hip bone, my left is on the shoulder blade. A long form of that diagonal stretch. Quite a bit of movement you can see me doing there. This will come in time if you stick to the initial basic techniques. Yeah. Working with the breath as always. And a bit of work directly on the lower back with both hands. Help open up the lower back a bit. Now I'm going to use my thumbs along the spine, this time in a different area from which I did in the first tape. I'm more closer into the spine now, either side of the spinal processes, applying pressure with my thumbs. It can be quite painful, so the recipient must be in a position to accept this. Now the sacral bone. Quite deep pressure there, and following through where I started just now, the lower back. Working with the breath. As Moya breathes out, I apply pressure. Now I'm going to do a technique on the arm. It's rather like a wrestling technique. I assure you it is a shiatsu technique. I've pulled the elbow down towards the hip. Now do remember, you must learn these techniques from a bona fide teacher. You cannot expect to learn these from a video. Please do not attempt to do this without instruction from an instructor. It can be very dangerous. You do not want to dislocate somebody's arm, shoulder. I've pulled the elbow down towards the hip and I've doubled the hand up the back. So the back of the palm is against, well, it's between the shoulder blades. I've just been working around the shoulder blade area. Now watch this side now, bringing the arm across slightly, bringing that elbow down towards the hip, then there's no problem at all. And the hand gradually eases up, and I'm trapping that elbow with my calf muscle there. The hand comes up and helps open up that shoulder area. Working with my thumbs to loosen up around the shoulder area, working with the breath. Most recipients will not be able to take this technique, accept this technique for several months. Students will have been training for 4 or 5 months on a weekly basis. A little bit more work there between the shoulder blades with my thumb to make sure I've loosened up that enough. Now I'm going to demonstrate a technique I can do on the ankle. I'm just checking the knee to make sure that's released. Placing the foot over my knee, foot and ankle over my knee. That's a different variation I can do there. I can put my other knee on there. Working the toes, at the base of the toes a little bit. Sole of the foot. Ankle. Achilles tendon there. Rotating the ankle. Now I'm going to rotate the knee. Knee rotation. Rotate and check that that is loose, relaxed, as we did on the elbow in the previous tape. And I'm using my thumb to work into the hip joint. Rotate and work there. Very good. Rotate. Use the thumb in the hip. Now the other side, so you can see clearly the way I'm using my thumb. Using my thumb in to the hip joint there, as I rotate the right leg, rotate the knee. Just see, I'm not grabbing the ankle there, I'm just allowing that to fall back, testing it now and again, changing my position, getting right deep into that joint with my thumb, with my right thumb. There, loosen that up a bit. And just pulling both legs. Now the next stage, the third stage in this, is to work the lower back. Now notice the position. I want you to just observe how I'm working here. Changing my hands, placing that right hand under the knee and lifting up So my left hand is acting as a fulcrum as I'm levering that leg up and putting pressure on the lower back. The pressure is on the back and not on the chest. And of course the breathing, I'm always breathing out as I apply the pressure. Let's do about 3 or 4 and then change. Test the relaxation. There. Apply pressure. Relax. I'm going to work both legs. Now the back. Normally I would have worked up the legs and done a bit more work, but we have to go on to the next position, which is working from the front. So Moya is lying on her back now, cushion under the head as before. One hand on the solar plexus, one hand on the forehead. I'll do a little bit more vigorous work on the tummy, just work on the shoulders a bit, relax the shoulders. Remember those 5 points of relaxation, 2 shoulders, 2 hips. And the jaw, having worked the spine. Just let me work those shoulders a bit. Now the left shoulder. The ribs first, as we did on the previous tape. A bit more vigorous than before. I'll proceed to do some work on the abdominal area. Remember the way we did it, down the middle and around. Straight down the middle, bit of movement there. Working that colon. The fingers are going quite deep. Again, only on the acceptance level of the recipient. There. I'm just loosening up the arm again, showing you the different positions of the arm. That's one position we can work from. Across the chest. There are many positions actually. This is another position. Stretching out, opening the arm up to work the inside arm, and 1, 2, and there's another one, 3. 3 positions basically, and lots of others in between. This technique is a pulling technique, pulling the arm using my foot. We're starting to use the feet a little bit now. Pull against the wrist, the upper part of the wrist, so the wrist is actually stretching. I'm placing my foot at an angle and working the fingers at the same time. And the other side. The arm. And the other position, just to show you there. Can't quite see that angle there, but